Hey YouTube, it is Mark
and Rocky,
and we are
This Cruise Life.
Today we are talking to you about a very exciting new ship that Carnival Cruise Lines will be welcoming to its fleet in 2024.
Yep, it is the Carnival Firenze.
On December 12th, 2022, Christine Duffy announced a new Venice class of ships to be added to the Carnival fleet from sister Costa Cruise Lines.
Yes, and this included the new Carnival Venezia,
which we talked about.
Yep, and the also new introduced Carnival Firenze. Very exciting details, just similar to what we did with the Venezia. We're going to go through this ship deck by deck, front to back, and compare the Carnival Firenze, see how many times I can say that, to the Carnival Panorama. Stay tuned, we got a lot of details coming your way.
The Carnival Firenze is a Vista-class ship for Carnival Cruise Lines. It is similar to the Panorama, the Horizon, the Vista, and of course her new sister, Venezia. In the video, we talked about all of the changes that have happened to the Venezia, and we're going to do the same thing here. Stick around to the end where you'll find some bloopers in terms of us saying Firenze, because we're all over the board. Okay, so let's start on deck 15, the very top of the ship. We'll start at the forward of deck 15.
That sounds great. So as we make our way out onto deck 15, this is where we find Serenity, one of our favorite places. It's an adult-only space on the Carnival ships. And on this ship, there's no difference there. It is still the Serenity area. The one difference that we do see is the bar name. So instead of it being the Serenity bar, it is now the Aperol Spritz bar. So a little bit different, more fun, some bubbly types of drinks.
This bar was introduced on the Venezia. Here's a little picture of it.
Yep.
The other thing, I wouldn't say there's no changes,
I guess
because
that's true.
one of my favorites is gone. I'm still not going to go hungry. I'm sure there's plenty of other food, but on the Firenze, we removed
Fresh Creations.
Fresh Creations. That salad bar place that's on the Vista class of ships. Now, it was removed on Venezia as well, so it's not a huge surprise that it was removed. Hot tubs are in the same places, all of those sorts of things. Structurally, that's deck 15.
Yep.
Deck 14. Similar to sister Carnival Venezia, we see a big blank space where the spa, the salon is on the Carnival Panorama.
Yeah. Don't worry though, the salon is still present on the Firenze. It's just in a very different location, similar to what we saw in the Venezia.
Same with the spa treatment area. We'll talk about that here in a minute as well. We're going to check out on Venezia here in a couple of weeks. What is actually in this gray space? Is there something there?
Right.
Or is it truly, has it been converted to storage or crew rooms? We'll find out.
Right. And something else to note, these rooms on the Firenze are not spa rooms. So they are just your standard balcony rooms.
We love our spa rooms on the Vista class of ships through Carnival Cruise Lines. We'll see if the Venice class of ships roll out something similar.
Yes. As we move to the aft of deck 14, you'll notice that there's a couple more changes. We no longer see the sky ride, which is similar to what it is on the Venezia. The Firenze does not have a sky ride.
Those bikes that go around the sky.
However, we do see the ropes course that is present. And we see mini golf. The mini golf seems to be expanded based on the deck plans. Whether or not it's actually expanded versus the Vista class remains to be seen.
We'll find out soon.
Yes. All right, welcome to deck 12 forward. Here's where we would find the Carnival Cloud9 Spa and the Fitness Center. It is on both of the ships. However, we notice on the Firenze, it is significantly smaller when compared to the Panorama.
We've added a bunch more balcony rooms.
They have.
And a couple of interior rooms.
Interiors, right.
In the space where you would see the treatment rooms on the Panorama.
Yep. Now, as we looked at the deck plans for the Venezia, they made some updates to it, and it looks like there might be some sauna features and locker room features in there. We're not 100% certain because they haven't physically identified those spaces, but fingers are crossed that it actually turns out to be true.
And we'll keep you posted in a couple weeks.
Yes. Now, as you move outside, you come to the Carnival Waterworks area where you've got their water slides.
It's listed on both ships.
It is listed on both ships. It looks like it's very similar. And as you continue to move aft, you're going to encounter the Magradome.
Yay, I love
like
the Magradome.
Fine.
I love the Magradome. It's that roof that closes up over the mid part of Lido.
Yep.
We first fell in love with the Magradome on the Splendor. So when it's stormy weather or rough seas, they can close the Magradome and you can enjoy climate-controlled space.
Yes.
They don't have the Carnival Seaside Theater listed.
Correct.
You can't have a theater screen as the thing is closing.
As the dome would be closing onto the screen.
Yeah.
So they took the Carnival Seaside Theater and they moved it down to deck 11. You'll see it on the next deck plan.
So on deck 12 on Panorama, you'll find the Carnival Seaside Theater.
Yes, that's correct. So moving back from there, you get into the warehouse on the Carnival Firenze, which is where you have all the arcade games. Whereas on the Carnival Panorama, you have the clubhouse.
Yeah.
The clubhouse would be where you have your soccer billiards and ping pong tables and all of that fun stuff going on.
We think it's an interesting placement to see the warehouse moved all the way up here to the top of the ship. We saw it on Venezia as well. But it does kind of make sense because that's also then where you see mini golf listed. You see the ropes course listed. You see as you move after the ship on the Firenze, you see the jogging track after that wraps around the aft of the ship versus on the Panorama you've got the
Sky track.
Essentially
Same
it's
thing.
the jogging track. It's just underneath those sky bikes that go around.
Yes.
They just call it the sky track.
Correct. And then as you move towards the aft on deck 12, you have open space.
Blank space.
Yeah, so this would be the open to below. When we get to deck 11, you'll see what I'm talking about. And then we've got some fitness equipment outdoors.
Unlike the Panorama, this is where the basketball court is. This is one of the biggest changes structurally to the ship, where Panorama has the basketball court way up here, so they can put stuff underneath it. The Firenze has nothing. It's just open to below, and we'll talk about deck 11 next.
Yep.
Jumping down to deck number 11, we see some room configuration changes. Carnival Firenze adds in a couple of additional rooms up there, but pretty minor.
As we move outside on deck 11, we see the Carnival Seaside Theater on the Firenze. Finally shows itself. It wasn't able to be on the next deck up because of the Magrodome, but here it is. Moving a little bit further back, we have the newly introduced pergola bar, which was not previously shown on the Carnival Venezia's deck plans. They recently announced it or showed it up onto the deck plans, and voila, here it is on the Firenze.
There's not a lot of information out there about this new bar, but we'll be sure to take some pictures when we're on the ship here in a couple weeks.
Yeah. And then also on the Panorama, we happen to see that there's a bandstand. Firenze? It's not really shown. We don't know if there is a bandstand or not.
In fact, that entire space is kind of reconfigured when you look at the Panorama. On the Firenze, there's a lot more lounge space, a lot room for a bar. There really wouldn't even be room for a bar on the Panorama in this space.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we move just beyond or just aft of the elevators in the mid of the ship, you're going to come to the reception desk that looks like it might be for the kids' space, and it's labeled as such on the Carnival Panorama. It's just not labeled on the Firenze.
So there in that space, you've got the kids' clubs, you've got Dr. Seuss, or you've got one of the kids' clubs, you've got
Camp Ocean.
Camp Ocean, you've got Dr. Seuss. I don't even know the kids' clubs' names.
Yep, Dr. Seuss, Bookville.
Yep, that too. So that's all kind of in that space on deck 11. And then right immediately behind it,
on the Carnival Firenze, we have the basketball court.
So again, it's kind of the kids area between 12 and 11 on Firenze, and the basketball court is here, which is a huge, wildly different change between Firenze and Panorama.
Yes, we don't see the Gigi's Asian Kitchen. We don't see Cucina del Capitano.
They put in a basketball court.
So that's deck 11.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
There's nothing else?
Nothing else.
Oh, that's it.
All right, so we made it to deck 10 on the Carnival Firenze. Here is the difference. We see a lack of some staterooms facing forward.
At the front of the ship, right?
At the front of the ship.
Okay.
Aside from that, room configurations look to be identical between the two ships.
It's when you get outside on deck 10 that the changes start, and they start immediately. So gone are Blue Iguana Tequila Bar, which is on the port side of the ship, and gone are Red Frog Rum Bar, which we've come to love as part of Funship 2.0 enhancements. Instead, replaced are...
We have the Rococo Bar, which was, if I remember correctly, Christine called it pop art. Something like that.
With a big dollop of carnival fun. And then on the other side is...
JavaBlue Café.
Introduced here in this space on Lido on Venezia. We are so here for JavaBlue being in this space, and it's an expanded JavaBlue.
It is. They have gelato service available through it, which is really exciting.
Included?
I don't know. You'll have to tell us.
We'll find out. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, now's a good time to do it because we're going to be posting lots of information from the Venezia in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
As we move beyond the pool, because the pool looks pretty much the same between Firenze and Panorama, we come to a new eatery.
We do. Tomodoro, Mexitalian style food.
A fusion.
It is fusion, yeah. So they've got some Mexican food and Italian food. I mean, best of both worlds if you're asking me. I'm excited.
Yeah. And that replaces Blue Iguana Cantina, but it sounds very similar with the ability to maybe get a meatball in your burrito. We'll see. Weird. And then on the starboard side, just across the way from that, remains Guy's Burger. No change there.
Ooh, well, big change actually.
Do we know that for the Firenze? Is it a big change? Are they keeping?
I don't know why they wouldn't keep it.
So
that
on
way.
Venezia, they introduced a new look for Guy's Burger, but we haven't seen anything that confirms that that's going to be the case on Firenze.
Not yet, but I would imagine it's going to be the very similar
Italian theming of Guy's Burger.
Yeah, where they have the pizza burger, if I remember correctly.
That's right. Oh gosh, I get to try that.
Yes.
Okay, let's go inside. Let's go
inside.
And eat.
All right, Lido Marketplace, here we go. So in the Lido Marketplace, the Firenze's layout on the deck plans appears to be similar to the older design of the marketplace that they have on the other ships.
Long lines.
Yeah, like on the Vista, I believe, is one of the last classes that we saw.
You're right. Instead of the new kind of pod format that's on the Panorama, that's on the Horizon, Mardi Gras celebration, the way more efficient way to kind of buffet. It goes back to that old style queue system.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it looks like.
It is. And then as we go outside in the very aft of the ship on deck 10, we encounter some familiar items. We have Pizzeria del Capitano, we have Seafood Shack, and we have a bar that accompanies a pool. The main difference is it's not called the Tides Bar. Instead, it's called the Versia Pool and Bar.
Yep, that one. And there, it looks like this could be scaling on the deck plan, but it does actually look like the stairs going up are in a different spot after the ship. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, very interesting.
I hate to disappoint you, but we come down to deck 9 and there's not a whole lot of change. The one change that we do see on the deck plan is where Carnival Firenze has introduced an additional room in what appears to be the laundrette on the Carnival Panorama. Otherwise, the rest of the ship, as you can see, looks pretty identical.
Yep. Welcome to deck 8, where we have the bridge.
Yes.
That's still there. We can still steer the ship. All of the rooms in the very front of this ship look very similar as far as deck plans go between the Firenze and the Panorama. Once we get just beyond the elevator banks is where we see some of the changes really take shape on the Firenze.
Some pretty big changes.
Yeah. So on the Carnival Firenze, we have rooms. Okay. On the Panorama, however, we have the second deck of the Sky Zone, which is the trampoline park. Yeah. So that's kind of a big difference that we see between those two ships.
Yep. Firenze also crams in another room against the elevators.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It's weird. It's just like this empty space on Pano, but they're like, okay, if we can fit a room in here.
Right? Why not? So as we continue to move towards the aft on the Carnival Firenze, we see some pretty strange changes now. That double interior hallway is gone on the Carnival Firenze. It is an open space. Panorama? You got 2 sets of interior hallways.
2 sets of interior rooms. So remember that second floor of the Sky Zone where Panorama lost some rooms? Don't you worry. Carnival makes up for it in the aft of the ship.
Yes, absolutely.
Somewhat. Not completely, though. Right. We actually counted the rooms on this ship. Anyway, they don't need to know that.
They don't need to know that.
Okay. I think that's it, though, on Deck 8.
That's Deck 8 for you.
Like Deck 8, Deck 7 has some minor room configuration changes throughout the entire deck. But the biggest change is the addition of a big chunk of rooms on Firenze, where the Sky Zone, the first floor of that trampoline park, is on Carnival Panorama. That's really the biggest change that you see on this deck, is just more staterooms.
Right. One other thing that we did make note of is that the Carnival Firenze does not have a lot of suites. Versus looking at the Carnival Panorama, there's a lot of very large balcony rooms on this deck.
It's a great point. I mean, some seriously epic-looking sized balconies when you look at the Carnival Panorama versus the Firenze.
Yes, very true. Deck 6, what a change. Carnival Firenze, no forward-facing rooms at all.
Weird.
Don't understand it.
It's just a blank. It's just blank on the deck space.
It is
Deck
completely
plan.
blank.
What is up there? Firenze, Venezia. What are you thinking?
Right? Very strange. Then as you move back a little bit, you've got a plethora of interior rooms in the forward space of the ship, taking over the space that is occupied by Circle C and Club O2 on Carnival Panorama.
It's wild. There are 27 interior rooms on the forward of the ship on Firenze. There are 8 on Panorama because of the one, there's less rooms, and 2, Circle C and Club O2 take over that space.
Yep. Very interesting. As you continue to move aft just a little bit beyond that front stairwell again, or that front set of elevators, on the Firenze, you have some rooms. Again, we encounter more rooms.
We added some rooms for you.
And then on the Carnival Panorama, we've got the warehouse.
That's right. I was looking at him because I couldn't remember actually what was there, and I didn't want to look at my notes. The warehouse, instead of being way up top as it is on the Firenze, it is down here on deck 6 on the Panorama.
Right. So there's just some reconfigurations of some rooms and things.
We added some rooms in. I'm shocked.
Yeah, I know, right? Go figure. So then as you continue to move aft from that space, we come to a very strange space, comparatively speaking, between the Carnival Firenze and the Carnival Panorama. On the Firenze, both ships actually have a double interior hallway with some rooms off of it. However, for some reason on the Carnival Firenze, there's this giant gap that we don't know if it's a blip on the deck plan designs or if it's really just going to be this giant open gathering space.
And in that space, Carnival Panorama this time around has crammed in a couple of additional staterooms. So it all balances out in the end.
It does.
And that's pretty much
it just kind of dots the same thing across the rest of the ship on the back of deck 6. You have
a couple
some
of
more
tweaks here and there.
Differences, but...
But do you know what is a big change?
What's that?
Deck 5.
Deck 5.
Coming up next.
Oh my gosh.
Welcome to Deck 5. Starting off is one of our favorite spaces, Teatro Rosso, the theater, red tufted seats, where all of those amazing performances and shows are going to take place. When you exit the theater, it dumps you right into...
the atrium, the third deck of the atrium space. So similar to all the other ships that are in this class, we have fun shops all over the place in this space.
Some seating is up there as well.
Right. But what's different is on the Carnival Firenze, I'm hoping you're excited about this. I don't know why.
I think it's the weirdest thing.
We have the Cloud9 Salon.
There's the Cloud9 Salon just right there. Hey, in the atrium, come get your hairs done and maybe watch the violinists.
Right. Versus on the Panorama, that's the space where we see... Cherry on top.
Cherry on top, the interior and exterior area of Cherry on top. I'm guessing the salon, the Cloud9 Salon, doesn't have an exterior space.
Probably not. Might make it a little strange for the hairstylist. So then as we continue moving aft on the Firenze...
because we're done shopping and now we're hungry.
Now we're hungry. We're going to come to the Bonsai Teppanyaki on the port side of the ship.
I've yet to do this restaurant.
Same. Now, what's different about the Firenze versus the Panorama is this is where the piano bar sits on the Panorama so that they can open up the doors and you can enjoy music in the steakhouse.
Brilliant design, by the way, on starting with Horizon and Panorama, the piano bar, and then the steakhouse so that it can be one large, beautiful space. Right. Versus on this ship, it's got the teppanyaki, and the steakhouse. Still both yummy options.
They are.
Across the hall.
Across the hall. On the Carnival Firenze, we have the Piano Bar 88.
Fun fact, and I think this is fascinating, on the Costa version of the ship, that's where another upcharge specialty restaurant was called Hot Pot.
Right.
And it was essentially like the melting pot. You dunk things in and you cook them yourself. And they've removed that in favor of piano music.
Yay.
Also gone, interesting when you compare it to Sister, the library is gone.
Right.
So they put the piano bar on Firenze, where the library is on her sister's.
Correct. Now,
so
I wonder,
no library.
I wonder if they're going to use the piano bar for all of their upsells for Cloud9, especially knowing that the salon is right around the corner.
Of course, I need to know how to get rid of these wrinkles.
I don't think they're going to do that in the salon for you.
Oh, fair. I mean, they'll send me up to the Cloud9 up top.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then as we continue to move aft from the piano bar, we encounter Bonsai Sushi on the Carnival Firenze.
Hey, go watch this video right now if you want to be hungry for sushi. Maybe that's what we should have tonight. Ooh. Okay, sushi, Bonsai Sushi, and then the new bar that was introduced that, that replaces Alchemy.
Right. But Christine Duffy did mention when she announced the changes coming to the Venezia, and they announced this bar, that a lot of Alchemy favorites are still going to be available at this location.
Yeah.
We'll see what that is. But this bar is called the Amari Bar. Do you remember what Amari means in Italian?
It looks beautiful. Bitter, right?
Bitter.
It was bitter. So they're going to have Negronis and a variety of different drinks here at this bar that pay homage to bitterness.
Right.
I ain't bitter about it.
Not at all.
Okay, when we leave this space, you come to an interestingly crammed in fun shop on the Firenze.
Yeah.
Kind of, it's where Pixels would be on...
Correct, on the Panorama.
On the Panorama.
Right.
They just cram in another fun shop there, which I think is really interesting.
It is, very interesting. So as you continue to move aft, you're going to come to Frizzanti Bar.
That's new. That was introduced on Venezia.
Right.
Yep. It's where Guy's Pig and Anchor Smokehouse Brew House, where the brew house would normally be in that space.
Yep. And joining that Frizzanti Bar is another space that's not yet been announced.
Fun yet to be revealed.
So as you continue moving aft, then you find Pixels on the Carnival Firenze.
So that fun shop where Pixels would normally be, and now I don't understand why they moved, swapped it around.
No.
It looks like it could be a pinch point in there, and so I will be very curious to see.
My understanding is the Costa iteration of both the Venezia and the Firenze had their photo gallery in the same spot, and so they just kept it there.
Totally get that, but why they end up moving it down? It's weird. Oh, probably because that's exactly what it was. On the Costa version, there was where that restaurant and Frizzante bar.
Oh yeah.
There was a shopping boutique district.
Yeah.
And so there were there were more shops and stores, and so it probably made sense. It connected the photo gallery to that shopping district.
Okay.
That's probably.
There you go.
We were like, why did they just move Pixels down? It was probably connected to that.
You're right.
Ah, cool.
Outside, the Lanai.
We've got the La Strada.
La Strada Grill. Yeah,
Italian street foods.
Italian street foods. That's kind of cool.
I think so.
Yep.
And it was introduced on the Venezia.
It is, yeah.
On Carnival Panorama, there's nothing in this space.
There is nothing.
There is a gray. I mean, there is a service area or something in that space on Panorama. So like. Is it like outlets you can just plug things into? I don't know how it works. Or Legos? You can just kind of you can take that box out and put in a La Strada grill?
You'll have to let us know.
I'll have to let you know.
So as we go back inside, we have a lounge space, which is called the Tuscan Lounge on the Carnival Firenze. That's
Ocean
where we
Plaza.
have
Ocean Plaza and all the others.
Yep. And that's where we have trivia and other fun activities throughout
music,
the cruise.
A band usually is playing in there.
Right.
It looks like the space is kind of reconfigured again, similar
Possibly.
to Venezia.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Yep. And there's a bar there as well to serve the area.
And then lastly, at the aft of the ship.
Yep.
Big change.
Yes, so that's where we go into the terrazza space on the Carnival Venezia. It's the Carnivale Terrazza. They haven't really named this bar and lounge space.
Bar and lounge.
On the Firenze. However, that space is what's occupied by the Havana space on the Carnival Panorama. Okay. Big difference that we see here also is a lack of a pool space. Instead, we have that terraced area with all of these loungers that are facing out into the water. They do still have the 2 hot tubs, but they move them up onto the rafters closer to the ship.
So one last thing that I'll mention on Deck 5 that I find interesting is all of the bump outs have been moved from Firenze to Panorama.
It was the same thing on the Venezia. I'm not sure what the logic was, reasoning behind it.
Maybe it's just someone that drew it got lazy. I don't know.
Maybe. Who knows?
Let's jump down to 4.
Welcome to Deck 4. On the Carnival Firenze, we have the lower deck of the Teatro Rosso. Found on the Carnival Panorama would be Liquid Lounge.
Yes. Again, the theater space. It's a 2-story space versus the 3-story that we've seen on the older ships.
Right. Yep. So then as we move further aft, we come into the atrium, and again, we see a lot of similarities between the 2 ships. We have the fun shops.
More fun shops, more shopping for you.
More shopping.
But what is new on the Firenze is this
Cherry
is where
on
Cherry on
Top.
Top is.
Right.
So Cherry on Top is actually down on Deck 4 versus on the Panorama. It's on Deck 5 and has that outside space as well. On the Firenze, it's just moved down to Deck 4 interior with around the fun shops.
Yep. That's the only major change we see
There are no
there.
beauty salons, don't
No,
Okay.
we can't have that many.
Okay.
So then as we move aft, we enter the casino. The casino layout looks to be very similar for both ships. Not a lot of change there.
That was the winding walkway.
I kind of figured that's
okay.
what you were
I wasn't
doing.
sure if you all knew what I was doing there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then as we go further aft on the port side of the Carnival Firenze, we have the casino annex. Now, we're not sure what the casino annex is going to be. If it's going to be a smoke-free casino, or maybe that's where the smoking casino is. We've seen updated deck plans for the Venezia, and they actually have a full diagram that shows what looks like tables and slots. So we're not sure what's going on there.
On the Costa version, it was the VIP room. So will it be a VIP room?
High rollers.
My money is actually on it's the smoke-free casino that we've seen introduced across the fleet.
Class, yeah.
That would be my guess. In the same space on the Carnival Panorama, you find Carnival Kitchen. So no Carnival Kitchen on the Firenze, but that's okay. We haven't used it yet.
It's very strange that they aren't putting an upcharge establishment on this ship.
Especially because when you look at it, it's always sold out.
It is always sold out.
Have you ever wanted to cook those?
I think it would be cool to try once.
Try once, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't cook at home. Why would? Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then as we go starboard, we see Heroes Tribute Lounge on both ships, actually.
Oh, that's right. It is on both ships. Yep.
It is.
So that concept introduced on the Panorama.
Yep.
Carries through.
It does. Same thing, continuing further aft, we have the art gallery.
Then, similar to all of the sisters in this class, as you move aft of the art gallery, you've got the Limelight Lounge, the nightclub, the dance club, also sometimes where the art auctions, the back-to-backers enjoy their mimosas, a variety of uses for this space.
Yep. And then at the very aft of the ship, we have the lower deck of the aft main dining room.
The
Medici restaurant.
Medici restaurant versus on the Panorama, how cute is this? The Vista restaurant?
Yep.
I think it was the Vista restaurant,
it is,
right?
Yeah.
Paying homage to the sisters in the Vista-class. And so, again, same use of that space.
Yep.
On deck 3, we see more big changes when we look at the Carnival Firenze versus the Carnival Panorama. In fact, there are big changes even compared to the sister Venezia, which came out right before her. Yeah. At the very front of the ship, you see a whole new chunk of staterooms that are added where the kids' clubs were on her sister Venezia.
Right, very strange.
And on the Panorama, there's just blank gray space there.
Yep.
And so a bunch more rooms. Wild. As you move aft in the forward section of the ship, that's where you actually see Club O2 and Circle C added on the Firenze. And then on the Carnival Panorama, it's just that's where rooms are. So it's interesting because on the Venezia, that's where this weird, remember that karaoke bar that we talked about on the Venezia?
It was on the Costa Venezia.
On the Costa Venezia, and they haven't repurposed, they haven't redone that space for the Carnival Venezia.
Right.
On this ship, they did. They redid that space. They moved the kids' clubs and they put in a bunch more staterooms. So much smarter for Carnival in this space.
Makes way more sense. So then we move into the atrium. We finally found the lowest deck of the atrium. The atrium is called Piazza Duomo. So if you haven't picked up on it, this ship's name is the Firenze. Firenze is Italian for Florence. So
Italy.
Italy. So all of the theming throughout the ship is going to be Italian flair. And this one space, the atrium, really pays homage to Florence with this Piazza Duomo. So really curious to see what the designs are going to be like, if it's going to be similar to what they're doing on the Venezia.
It's beautiful.
I would think they're going to be a little different.
Look at this picture right here from the preview. It's beautiful.
Oh, nice.
Versus the Panorama has that big, remember those big
LED screens,
things that
funnels.
go up, multiple floors.
Yep.
The bar is still there.
Yeah,
of course. There's still a bar in that atrium space.
And you still have shore excursions and guest services in the space as well.
Yep, absolutely.
Shifting a little bit further back on deck 3, we enter the forward main dining room, which is called the Palazzo restaurant on the Carnival Firenze. And then on the Carnival Panorama, that is the Horizon restaurant.
Oh, that's right. So they have the Horizon and Vista on the Panorama.
Yes.
Okay, if you know the Vista-class, that means something to you, and if you don't, that's okay.
Yes.
And then as you move aft, the aft restaurant, it's just the first floor of that aft restaurant, which was the Medici or the Vista on the Panorama.
Yep, that's
awesome.
it.
That's deck 3.
So here we are on deck 2. The forward of the ship on the Carnival Firenze just missing some rooms when you compare it to the Carnival Panorama.
Some Panorama, like it goes way out here.
It does.
Remember, we suspected on the Venezia that they removed those rooms forward because they would have been under the kids' clubs.
You don't want
that. Actually probably isn't why they removed them, because they don't have them on this deck plan at all. Interesting.
Yep. And then there's just some reconfigurations of other rooms across the deck for deck 2.
Like,
that's really
here's a room here. We moved a room against the elevators.
Yep.
Those sorts of changes.
Right.
Yep. And then lastly, deck 1. Again, similar story. We see less rooms on the Firenze up front than we do on the Carnival Panorama. So the Panorama is making up for some of the rooms it's lost with the Sky Zone and some of those other spaces. They made up with some of those spaces here on deck 1 where they've added in some rooms forward.
Right.
Again, a couple of minor tweaks throughout the rest of the deck.
Yeah. So there you have it. There is all of the decks, deck by deck comparison of the Carnival Firenze to the Carnival Panorama. We are so excited about this ship. When they first opened up the bookings, we jumped on it.
Day 1.
We did. First day, we hopped onto it. We are booked for the first 2 sailings currently coming out of Long Beach, California.
The inaugural and the inaugural junior. We're super excited to check this ship out. As more information comes out about the ship, of course, we will share on the channel. We're going to learn a ton more about the Venice class of ships here coming up very soon.
Very true. Yeah, absolutely. Really excited about this. It's definitely a change for Carnival to see this whole Italian style being introduced. But yeah, to your point, we are so excited to see what that's going to look like. Carnival Venezia comes out here at the end of May. We'll actually start sailing from the US in June. And then the Carnival Firenze comes out in May of 2024, sailing out of Long Beach. There's no transatlantic or trans-Pacific sailings on that ship.
If you have questions about the ship, we have literally spent hours poring over the Costa version of the deck plans, the Carnival versions of the deck plans. We've pulled up stuff that's literally just in Italian and have had to translate it to understand what's changed between the ships. We've pulled up all of the Vista class of ships. We've done the Venezia. Literally, if you have questions or if you have speculations or you have wonderings about this ship, literally drop them in the comments. I would put money there is something in our notes, something in our photos, something in our saved folders that we can answer those questions.
Yes, so true. We did spend a lot of time researching all of these ships. But we love doing it, so that's part of it, right?
It is.
And again,
absolutely.
As we say in our videos, if you're looking to book one of these ships and you want some help with finding a room, let us know. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. We're glad that you've stayed with us throughout this entire video. We invite you to like this video.
And of course, if you've made it this far, you likely have already subscribed, but just in case you haven't, go ahead and click that subscription bell. The subscription button.
And ring the notification bell.
That's what I was trying to say. Awesome.
Of course.
Hey, until next time.
Until next time, enjoy these bloopers. We'll see you soon.
Hey YouTube, it's Mark.
And Rocky.
And we are
This Cruise Life.
Today we've got some exciting cruise news for you about a new ship coming to Carnival Cruise Lines.
It is the Carnival Firenze? Firenze. Let's check these videos and see if they help.
Firenze.
On deck 2, it's a similar story. At the front of... Did I start or did you?
Well, you needed to. You finished deck 1.
Okay.
As we move a little bit further aft from that center stairwell and elevator bank, we'll see what could be the reception area for the Carnival Firenze. It's not labeled as such, but it really aligns up with the panorama.
Not the reception for the Carnival Firenze as a whole.
No. No, just for the kids.
I was like, oh shoot, that's not the. It just made me giggle how you said it. Jumping down to deck number 11. What was I even saying? Oh, jumping down to deck.
You can talk. It's fine.
Okay. Jumping down to deck number 11, we see some minor changes to the room configuration. Costa Carnival.
All right, so we are on deck 9. Forward of the ship looks very similar. All right, so we are on deck 8. We finally made it down here. Not a lot of change in the front of the ship as far as the rooms configured go. However,
and the bridge is still there.
Fortunately, the bridge is still there. We can't have a ship without a bridge. As we move towards the front stairwell, and wow, that really tickled you.
It's just tickled me. Like, the bridge is still there. They're still steering the ship.
That's a good thing.